TOA and Fit Body Bootcamp communities. Welcome everybody. Robert Linkul, trainingtheolderadult.com. Nice to see you all. It's been a little while since we've done an article review. I guess I would say because I haven't seen one recently that really sparked some interest and some discussion. And then when I saw this one, this came out just last night. So let's see, it's Saturday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Came out on the 3rd. And then obviously they published this January of 2022. They did an update of January 2024. And then it just got kind of shared through their email list. But I found this to be pretty interesting. They have some experts that provide some information, some good, some not so good. So let's discuss it. Let's dive into it. Okay, so the focus, well, let's go through the title first. The 7 worst habits for your joints. Everything, excuse me, from what you eat to how often you text can affect your health of your joints. This is by Kimberly Goad from the AARP. Okay, so the first initial risk that they're about to talk about is probably by far the one I think that probably damages you the most. Not the most, but it's definitely one that does a lot of damage. So we'll talk about that. There's a couple of these though that I'm like, you're reaching. Number one, are you reaching? If people just read the headline of each number one, number two, they'll look at that and go, see, I knew I shouldn't exercise, right? And that's the stuff that kind of irks me a little bit. Also why I wanted to go through this a little bit. They are interviewing medical doctors, and there are multiple doctors in here that do suggest exercise is good. So that's nice. I need to give credit where credit's due. I'm always, dumping on doctors who are telling people not to lift up anything heavy, etc. So these doctors are encouraging people to exercise, which is great. All right, about 50% of people over the age of 65 have arthritis, according to the CDC, the Center of Disease Control. Osteoarthritis is very common and probably the most common form. So you have arthritis. There's over, I believe, it's either 100 or 200 different types of arthritis. And it can be very damaging, very painful, very uncomfortable, very inflammatory. And typically it's overuse to a specific area of your body that you are using and abusing. A lot of lifters, people that lift, lifting weights, let's say not professionally, but as a athlete, right? Trying to pursue college and then maybe Olympics and then professional or something like that. A lot of people that lift continually end up getting arthritis in major joints, their back, their knees, their shoulders, their elbows, etc. People that don't really lift weights but overuse their hands and their elbows will get carpal tunnel syndrome often, and then they'll get arthritis in their hands, in their wrist, and their elbows, shoulders, etc. People that walk a ton might get arthritis in their feet, their ankles, and their lower back. So it just kind of depends on what you do through your life. The hard thing to understand about arthritis is if you get it, the worst thing you can do is stop moving. Even though the over moving is what got you that problem, if you learn how to move appropriately in the right amount, because one of these they have on here, they kind of talk about these overuses and such. I won't jump the shark, but anyhow, if you can learn how to exercise and move with a moderate amount on a regular basis, but keep doing that, you can actually manage your arthritis. Is arthritis healable once you have it? No, but can you make it better? Absolutely, okay? All right, moving number one, smoking. Smoking has more of an inflammatory response and more of a joint damaging response to your ligaments, your tendons, and your bone health than almost anything else on this list. That's why I was saying this one is pretty important. And this one is very, very damaging. So if you smoke, not only are you increasing your risk of all these other diseases, including lung disease and cardiovascular disease and everything else, heart attacks, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all super important. But you're also really damaging your joints and your body. And this has been, researched and highlighted and showcased in many, many different research studies. So stop smoking. By the way, it's 2024. I mean, if you didn't know by now that smoking's bad for you, you should probably figure that out. Like, I remember when I was growing up in the 80s, 90s, like everybody smoked. And that was still at a point then where they were like, hey, smoking's really bad for you. You shouldn't smoke. It wasn't like the 60s and 70s where everybody smoked. Everybody smoked. Both of my parents smoked. My dad for a couple of years and then he stopped. My mom smoked for like 30 something years. Didn't stop smoking until I brought her a ceramic. This is terrible. This is terrible. I'm going to tell you all this. In high school, in ceramics class, I made her a coffin ashtray. Like it was an ashtray, right? Little ashtray, but it was a coffin. And in it, I wrote in there, you know, if you keep smoking, this is where you're going to end up, kind of a thing. And she stopped smoking. To her credit, she stopped smoking. As soon as I gave her that, she was like, oh shit. I was being sent home because they thought I was smoking because my mom would smoke while she did the laundry and my clothes smelled like smoke. So they would smell it on me and they'd be like, we know you're out there smoking somewhere, you know, get out of here. So it was affecting everybody. And we wanted her to be healthy. I did this, took a chance, she stopped. Anyway, thanks, Mom. Thanks for stopping and getting me kicked out of school. All right, so smoking, as they put in there, let's see. According to the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, seniors who smoke are 30 to 40% more likely to break their hips than compared to non-smoking counterparts. So right there, 30 to 40% opportunity every time you fall. There's already a huge risk. You're over 65, seniors, 60, whatever we want to call that. There's already a huge risk that you're going to break something when you fall anyhow, especially if you don't lift. But if you're a smoker, you're 30 to 40% more likely to break. And then we know statistically, if you're over that age and you get a break of your hip, within 6 months, there's a very high likelihood half of you are dead. And that, I don't mean to be morbid, it's just statistically proven. Half the people over the age of 60 that fall and break their hip die within 6 months, okay? Terrible, I know. The other half of those, so a quarter of those people, don't get back to the original function they were already at prior to their fall, which in most cases is not great because they're not doing anything to improve. So what are the chances of you making a full rehabilitation? About 25%. That's what we got. All right, don't smoke. Number 2, a physically inactive lifestyle. Could not agree with this more. If you just sit around all the time, we're going to have lots of problems. 1.7 million people right now have rheumatoid arthritis or arthritis. And well, let me see, I'm jumping the shark here. Maintain a healthy weight. Extra pounds are hard on your joints, especially those with hip, hand, and knee issues, according to the Arthritis and Rheumatology that follow more than 1.7 million people for more than 4 years. Knees are especially vulnerable. Participants who are obese with a body mass index of 30 or higher were about 3 to 5 times more likely to get knee osteoarthritis. One study found that losing 1 pound of body weight translates into 4 pounds of pressure being taken off your knees. How cool is that? Okay, so the concern is carrying extra load. You're physically inactive. For every pound of extra body weight, you are over what you should be, quote unquote. And that's a whole nother discussion on BMI, etc. Quick understanding of this. I am 60 pounds morbidly obese according to the BMI charts. Okay. So don't let every statistical BMI chart or suggested weight and age for you be the end all be all, because I am not morbidly obese, but according to them, according to the BMI chart and according to my health insurance, I am morbidly obese, being 65 pounds overweight. I'm supposed to be 189 pounds. I'm 255. So there's a shit chance of me being under 200 pounds unless I lop off both my legs or get sick. Like, that's the only way it's going to happen. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. I'm keeping my muscle mass all the way through. I want to be the most muscular 100-year-old that you've ever seen. So that is my intention. That should be your intention as well. Build muscle mass, keep muscle mass. It will keep you alive longer. That is proven as well. All right. So for every pound over whatever your suggested weight should be, 4 pounds of pressure on your knees. That's pretty significant. So let's say you are 10 pounds over body fat. Okay, I'm not going to say overweight. If you're carrying more than 10 pounds of extra body fat on you, that's 40 pounds of pressure on your knees. So do me a favor, go get a 40-pound weight vest, put it on, go for a walk. Feel what that is like. One of the cool things they did in The Biggest Loser, which I don't know if that's a sentence I say all that often because there's not a lot of cool stuff they do on that show. I can't stand that show. Used to love that show, can't stand it now. Now that I've seen behind the curtain, actually see how they do all this, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all fake. It's all made for television. It's really it's not a positive show for people to actually watch because it sets all kinds of, anyway, I'm rabbit holing. Where was I going? The weight in the pounds. They would put them in a suit of how much weight they had lost to that point. So if they lost like 65 pounds, they'd put them in a 65-pound suit and then have them go do a challenge. And they get done and be like, holy cow, I used to carry that around. Like that is kind of a humbling experience of like, man, my body was really stressed carrying all that load. It gets you to feel that because you're so much lighter now, you know, and then you go, oh, here's an extra 40 pounds. You're like, holy shit. But I was carrying that normally. Like it was just spread out all over my body. You can feel for a moment like, wow, this is really stressful. Until you do that, it's really difficult to gauge it because you're just so used to moving around that extra 10 pounds or 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds. Our bodies are capable of carrying a lot of additional adipose tissue, extra fat. It's not healthy, okay? Obviously not healthy. So think of your joints, but also think of your heart and everything else that kind of goes along with that. All right, being inactive is definitely a big problem. They talk about low to moderate walks, 30 minutes a day. Okay, they go through this. Other doctor talks about it helps with keeping your joints lubricated, making sure you're walking more often. And people that maintain, let's see, here's the line. I advise my patients to maintain some activity throughout the day, but to expect increased pain with increased activity. That's with people who have arthritis. This is something called the arthritic grace period. There is a period of time, if you don't exercise and all of a sudden you start exercising, but you have arthritis, your arthritis is going to flare up. Hopefully just a little bit because you're inching your way into your exercise program, right? You don't do anything. You're like, I'm going to start lifting weights twice a week for 20 minutes, Monday, Thursdays. And then 2 walks a week on Tuesday and Saturday. I don't know, something like that, right? That's it. Just start there. Do that for 2 weeks. Your body, wherever you have arthritis, it's probably going to flare up a little bit. You'll be like, man, my hands really hurt from lifting the weights. My back's a little sore from the walks. Just keep going. Your body will get used to it. And all of a sudden, those symptoms that you experience will start to lessen. In some cases, go away. Okay? So 97% of the people, and we're talking thousands of people that were in these studies, 97% of people with arthritic responses to exercise, etc., showed improvement, and if not, a total reduction in their symptoms. So they still had arthritis, right? But they didn't experience it in discomfort and pain on a daily basis. So we either reduced that or got rid of it. Okay? It doesn't mean they healed their arthritis. It just means those that were continually active showed drastic improvement. The other 3% showed no change. So at worst case, nothing changes. They didn't get worse. And that's a 3% chance. Everybody else at least got a little bit better, if not made drastic improvements. So, but you have to get through that hump. How long is that grace period? Anywhere from 2 to 12 weeks. So it could be 2 weeks and you're like, okay, my hands are starting to feel better. Or it could be 3 months later and you're like, shit, my hands still hurt. Just keep going. Just keep going. Okay? Just keep swimming. Just keep going because it will get better. Your body will adapt. It's consistency and your body will adapt. So don't stop. Just keep going through it. I personally guarantee you will see improvements. Okay? You can take that to the bank. If you don't see improvements, you've done this consistently every day like we talked about for 3 months and you don't show, let me know. I'll help you out. All right, number 3, overdoing exercise. This is where we're starting to get a little touchy here, okay? Starting to get a little touchy. Weekend warriors, listen up. This is individuals that are not active that all of a sudden go, I'm 55 and I'm gonna go join the men's rec basketball league. Yeah, you're gonna blow up. You're gonna tear an Achilles. Something terrible is gonna happen. So gradually move your way back. As much as I like pickleball, we're seeing more and more Achilles, knees, lower back, shoulder injuries because of pickleball, because people go, it's just a little paddle and a little plastic ball. How hard can it be? You're running and diving and skipping and jumping and moving in all these directions really, really quick, and you haven't done that since grade school. So it's been, 20 to 40 years and now you're deciding you're gonna just go out and act like a ninja and jump all over a tennis court. Like, You can't just go and do that and expect nothing negative to occur to your body, okay? You've got to train your body to be able to do that. So I would start with a couple of weeks in the weight room, starting to get your body strong. And then you could start some very light to moderate change in direction plyometric drills, like stepping left, return, stepping left, return, stepping right, dropping back, little dynamic switches of your feet. Like, you are going to be plyometrically inclined when you're out playing pickleball, basketball, anything. Like, probably the one you can get away with is golf, but it's such a repetitive motion in the exact same direction. And the slowdown of the club is almost as damaging, if not more, than the acceleration of the club. That's where a lot of people don't understand and why they start arming everything, because their back and their trunk starts to fatigue, it starts to tighten up. And so then you're just like, I gotta finish the round. I'm just gonna arm the shit out of everything. And you just start chopping away, and then your shoulders and your back hurt. Anyway, if you don't condition yourself to be able to do these things beforehand, you're probably going to have a negative return. That's going to hurt your joints, aggravate arthritis, etc. So keep that in mind. Here we go. Dave Porter, MD, orthopedic foot and ankle surgeon in Indianapolis. Let's remember what kind of surgeon this person is. A foot and ankle surgeon, okay? I'm not saying he's not smart. What I am saying is he's not a strength coach. He's not a personal trainer. He has zero resistance training experience or education according to that medical doctor education. They don't teach resistance training when you go to school to become an orthopedic foot surgeon, okay? So let's keep that in mind as we listen to his information. There's a happy medium between exercising our muscles and not overdoing the stress of the joints. I agree. Studies have shown that people with arthritis who keep their muscles in good shape manage their arthritis much better. Great statement. Find the sweet spot with a mix of aerobic exercise and strength training. Awesome. Even 70, 80, 90-year-olds can still continue to have good muscle response to weight training exercises, that Porter says. Research shows that it's easier to do daily activities such as getting up and down out of a chair, going up and down steps, and possibly even decreasing your risk of falls with more conditioned muscles. Great statements, right? You nailed it, dude. All of those are accurate. Don't just go out and jump back into sport and start doing this without some kind of training. Build your muscle mass. Crushed it. So happy with that. You're like, where's the other half? Where are you going to say but? It's coming. It's coming. Number 4, carrying heavy loads. Of course, it's a bad idea to pick up anything heavy. Okay, so now, so let's just quick review. Overdoing exercise. That doesn't mean over resistance training. They just mean like you don't do exercise, then all of a sudden you do too much, okay? So let's keep that in mind. Now we're going to talk about carrying heavy stuff. Here's the quote. Carrying objects that are heavy creates an imbalance throughout the body. That's not true. Unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger and Conan, and your entire life existence has been pushing a wheel in a counterclockwise direction, then I would say I agree with you. Even if you work as a mover, you work for U-Haul or Mayflower, I don't know, whoever furniture moves, okay? Even if you work for those people and you move stuff all day long, is it going to create an imbalance in your body to carry heavy load? No, I don't think so. Unless you move and only carry everything in your left hand, then it probably will, okay? That statement right there, what it sets up is when you go to get your groceries, you're like, oh, I'm gonna hurt myself if I pick up these groceries and carry them. No, shit no. Like this is a huge part of our life is carrying load. We're actually designed and built really well to do so. We just gotta do it right, okay? So I would not listen to that advice. It's okay to carry heavy load. It's actually really good for you, okay? All right, creation of torque or stress in joints. It creates torque or stress in joints, which can further deteriorate the cartilage over time. Okay, torque is a rotational force created by long levers. That is torque production. You're talking to a hammer thrower. If there's one thing I understand, it's creating torque. Think of a torque wrench. It's a long wrench that you can adjust pressure to that helps you lever nuts and bolts and whatnot off of things that are really, really tight. It's all about leverage. What mechanical advantage and torque production are we talking about when you carry your groceries? I don't see that. okay? Unless you're carrying it in terrible positions, hinged forward in a 90-degree angle, right? With your ass sticking straight back, and then you start to walk, then you're in a torque-producing position to hurt your back, for sure, right? So again, this is a medical doctor who means well, who had all these great lines on the previous one. And I guess if you were just picking up like safes and anvils, then maybe that's what we're talking about, maybe. But even then, the act of just carrying it isn't that bad at all. I would be more concerned with how you pick it up to carry it and how you put it down than the actual act of carrying it. I don't see and have not seen studies or anything that suggests that carrying load creates imbalances or excessive torque production in the human body. I have not seen that. If somebody else has, please correct me. Please put it in the comment section. I would love to see it. The trick, of course, is defining heavy. Porter says, any amount of weight that requires more than one hand to pick up. Let's say that again. If you can't pick it up with one hand, am I understanding that right? A trick, of course, is defining what heavy load is, okay? Porter says to consider it any amount of weight that requires more than one hand to pick up. Okay, so you try to pick it up with one hand, but you can't, then requiring two hands, that's a heavy load. Play it safe and use palms on both of your hands or your arms instead of your, wait a minute. Play it safe and use the palms of both hands or use your arms instead of your hands when you lift or carry stuff? Is that the actual statement? Lift or carry stuff? Am I reading this right? Give me just a second. Pause, everyone. Play it safe and use the palms of both hands or use your arms instead of your hands. What the fuck are we talking about? Am I missing something? How can I pick it up without using my hands? Anyway, God. Can we just scratch number 4? Can we just cut this shit off the list? This one doesn't count. I'm Xing this one. I'm cutting this one off. I don't understand the last line. Hold the items close to your body. It's less stressful on your joints. That I agree with. We'll go with that shit. Don't use your hands when you pick it up. Show me another way, bro. I don't understand it. Okay, number 5, eating pro-inflammatory foods. Yes, there are plenty of foods out there that are very inflammatory. Sorry, milk companies, but milk's very inflammatory. You're talking to a person who loves cheese, so keep that in mind, right? I would suggest that you have either your own body systems or immunities tested to see how your body responds to a lot of this stuff, because there are certain foods you can eat that are either fried or starched or milk-based, etc., and they will have very high inflammatory responses to you. So anyway, I can't get over that last one, sorry. Consider, there's a little list in here too. Remember, I'll put the link to this article so you can look at that anti-inflammatory list if you want to. But yeah, definitely certain foods. Processed sugar is a big one as well, so you see that at the bottom. Limiting pro-inflammatory foods like red meat, sugars, and dairy can also decrease joint pain. I agree with that. Red meat, I've seen studies on both sides of this that some people that just eat red meat, their inflammatory response in their joints, their body's adapted to it, so it's not a problem at all. So maybe if you don't eat red meat often ever, or just very, very rarely, and then you have a massive steak, if your body would respond like that, that could be a consideration, but I haven't seen a ton on that. Again, I could be wrong. I haven't done a ton of research on it, but definitely sugar and dairy, we've seen that one for sure. This one, here's another one, and I just don't get this. Here's the quote. The occasional text does minimal, if any, harm to the joints of your hands. Again, not quote, but here's the line. But constant typing on a mini keyboard, aka your cell phone, quote, creates inflammation of the joints and tendons in the sheath, which can lead to pain and stiffness, says that same doctor, okay? The same holds true for iPads, laptops, basically anything with a keyboard. To avoid joint pain, take breaks and consider relying on speech-to-text function on your smartphone. Bro, unless you, over 50-year-olds, are spending all day TikToking and Instagramming and all that typing like this, the amount of time we actually spend texting throughout the day is not going to create Show me a study that says, hey, we've had these people texting for 12 hours a day, every day, for the last 8 weeks, and look at their, anyway, it's statements like this that just, I guess you could look at that and be like, yeah, if I keep doing this all day long, my hands are going to hurt and my neck and my back is going to be in a poor posture. You're assuming that they're doing it all day long, and you're assuming that they're in bad postures. This is one of those little like scare techniques where they're like, let's throw this out there to make sure everybody knows this is bad. Come on. I don't think this is accurate. I don't think this one's accurate at all. You may disagree, and that's totally fine. The average person's going to text, I don't know. Let's collectively say through the day, you text for an hour. Let's say that, okay? Let's say it's an hour. And you sleep for 8 hours. So that leaves us with 16 hours. That's 15 hours you're not texting with your hands like so. Do you think that 3 minutes every, 45 minutes throughout the day spread out that you're texting is going to cause inflammation and destroy the sheath in your, that's another one I'm gonna poo-poo. All right, and then skimping on sleep. Sleep's huge, helps a ton with reducing inflammatory responses in the body. There's very good research for cognitive behavioral therapy and basically how well your brain recovers every day, especially as we age. Okay, it's important. Not only is your body recovering physically from the demands you put through the day, and again, if you didn't put it through physical demands, you're not going to sleep well. Shocker, right? Shocker that you sit and watch Wapner. I just watched Rain Man, right? And he's all about Wapner. Got to watch Wapner. Wapner's on in 3 minutes. Okay, loved it. I've never actually watched Rain Man all the way through. Okay, in my adult life, I remember watching it as a kid, and I'm just like, I don't get it. The guy says some funny stuff. I never really understood what was going on. Anyhow, watch the whole thing. Really good movie. Weird ending. He just has to give his brother back. Sorry, I'm going to ruin it for you. He just gives his brother back. They get on the train. The brother doesn't give him like any kind of, dude, I love you, other than like he puts his head against him. That's it. That's it. That's the end of the movie. Wapner's on in 3 minutes. I'm sure you'll make it. That's the end of the movie, and he just goes away. He doesn't even look at him, wave, nothing. That's the end. I mean, I get it. Tom Cruise's guy comes. Anyway, where was I going with Rain Man? We're talking about sleep, and I get into Rain Man. What the hell? Let me walk that back. We were talking about Rain Man. Why are we talking about Rain Man? I don't even remember. Anyhow, cognition, sleep at night. If you're not getting enough sleep, older adults, your brain is, you're not tired. That's where I was going with this. If you don't exercise throughout the day, you're sitting there watching Wapner. That's where I was going. Okay, all you do is sit and watch. And then you're like, well, it's bedtime. What has your body been doing all day long? It's been barely operating at a level that's not asleep. You've done nothing to make your body go, we're alive, we're asleep, we're alive, we're asleep. There's nothing. So you're just barely awake, basically, all day. And then you tell your body, go to sleep. And shocker, you have a hard time. So now you take medicine to try to put you to sleep, which you're already like one step away from being asleep. So now you take this medicine, your body's like, well, we have to be dependent on this medicine because if you would go outside and go for a 45-minute walk, okay, build up to this so you don't hurt yourself, build up to a walk, and then later in the day, go do some gardening for 30, 40 minutes, you'll sleep really good at night because you're tired because you did something, right? Now, I know I'm preaching to a bunch of people who already exercise. If you share this video with a loved one and they have trouble sleeping, let them listen to this part, okay? Dear loved one, your person has put this video in front of you because they recognize you don't sleep well at night. So let me explain why. You are just barely awake all day long. You do nothing to exercise. You do nothing to stress your body. I hate to break it to you, but your body's not going to shut off when it's nearly shut off all day long, okay? If you will do 1 or 2 bouts of physical activity a day, let's exercise in the morning, come home, have lunch, relax, watch Wapner, watch Judge Judy, do whatever your shows are, and then go outside and garden or go outside and move some boxes in the shed or I don't know, just go be active. Go play pickleball, go golf, go do something, go be active. You'll sleep because your body got a spike of activity from exercise, and then it came back, and then it got another spike from whatever you went and did that afternoon. Even if it's a cognitively stimulating environment, like you went and played dominoes with your buddies outside in the sunlight, right, out of your house, that will give you a response where your brain goes, I was stimulated today, I need to shut this shit down and go to sleep at night. But if you just sit in your house and watch television all day, you are on this mild mute little 40% effort throughout the whole day, and then all of a sudden you just say, turn it off. Turn off from what? You haven't done anything to stress. So no wonder you have a hard time sleeping. It's either that or you're super active and you're taking these 2 or 3 hour long naps in the middle of the day, so your body doesn't know when nighttime is. Your circadian rhythm is so screwed up, it doesn't know when to go to sleep. So you sleep in the middle of the day and your body's like, oh, we just kind of recovered and now we're awake, but then you're saying, oh dude, it's 7 or 8 o'clock, we got to go back to sleep. We already tried to go to sleep in the middle of the day. You didn't want to do it then. Why are we going to do it now, right? So just stay awake through the day. Stay awake, and then when bedtime comes, you should be like, I'm tired, go to sleep. And your body should just shut it down. You're like, you're 43, Rob, what do you know? I read all this stuff, I know all this stuff, but physically, I'm like 80 years old, everybody, okay? I've been through some surgeries and I've had some great experiences, I've learned from this. You gotta make your body tired. I have been 75 pounds over fat. I have been completely completely incapable of exercising, severely depressed, out of shape, sitting around doing nothing, okay? Other than work, sleep, that's it. Nothing. I've been that person. And then I've been the opposite of that. And I can tell you when I sleep better and when I don't is when I am very physically active throughout my day and I don't nap. When I think better and when I function better and all that, and you're going, okay, you're 30 years younger than me. I understand that. But if we look at the human body and how it functions throughout youth to middle age to older adults, nothing changes in terms of sleep pattern and recovery. For kids, it's the same thing. If you take kids and make them sit and do nothing all day long and then try to get them to go to sleep, they don't sleep well. Shocker. If you do the same thing with older people, they don't sleep well. This particular bit of research, along with sarcopenia research, does not matter the age. It doesn't matter. Long rant. I'll wrap this shit up. 32 minutes later, if you're still here, I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed this. I haven't done one of these in a while. So I wanted to come back with a vengeance, apparently, and go down a whole rabbit hole. I'm still stuck on the how you lift things without using your hands, only use your arms. Am I supposed to strap wraps around my forearms and latch it to whatever I'm trying to pick up so I don't use my hands? Anyway, I hope you had fun with me on this. Anybody that, took offense to anything, I'm half kidding and just kind of joking, trying to make this entertaining, but also giving you good information. So I hope you can see that. No harm, no foul, not a meaning to offend anybody. I also want to really encourage people to live well. And these articles do a really good job 70% of the time of getting you really good information. And then I think there's some other things in there where they're just like, hey, people shouldn't text so much, so let's put on there that it causes arthritis. Show me a study that actually does that and I'll change my tune. But until then, I don't think that's accurate. All right, good luck not lifting with your hands, only using your body and your arms. If you have any comments or questions, hit me up down below. If not, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Please subscribe, like the video. Feel free to share it. Help us grow the community. We'd appreciate that. And take really good care of yourself. All right, until next time, continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia. Take care.